fracture, a mild hamstring. That would be a week or two at most. Back and ready to go. Start of the second half. What have the Bombers got in the tank? Pavlich has got plenty out of the middle as he drives it down towards Johnson. A move that worked very well in the first quarter. Tackled to ground. Here's Ballantyne, who's been purposeful today, and that's just magnificent awareness from Ballantyne.
Well, you look at that. Pavlich, Johnson, Ballantyne. They're the three that the spark in the first half, certainly the first quarter of this game, and got themselves certainly straight back into the play with possessions for each of them.
Tell you what, BT, if we don't get a response early in the piece here from the Bombers, Jono, they are in for one hell of a hiding.
They sure are. They need to start getting their hands on the ball around the contest.
Just even that first stoppage at half-time lacked any urgency.
Pavlich for his third goal. Kick on the way looks damn good. Umpire stands to attention and says goal.
Well, what a mirror image of what we saw in the first quarter. First minute, tap, Pavlich, ball goes forward. Johnson gets involved as he did early in the game. Pavlich is, somehow gets on board and gets another shot, and it was Hayden Ballantyne who's he's having one of his better games for the year, which I think is a tribute to his resilience. Under pressure last week, didn't have a good one, hasn't had a good one for 2 weeks in fact, and he's firing when they need him.
A game-high 46-point margin in favour of the Dockers. Pavlich has kicked 3 goals. And a return to form of a lot of those Dockers that were perhaps indifferent in their form over the last month. And that has been the good thing here for Fremantle.
Straight up, guys. Thank you.
One player Essendon are missing at the moment is Lonergan, in around the stoppage situation. He's the one who generally gets in, gets his hands dirty to help Watson out.
Hill doing the ruck work. Howell up there at ground level. Duffield in and under. Bombers did in the last 2/3 of the second quarter a good job at tying Fremantle up and stopping them running, and you just wonder how long they'll be able to do that for before the home team breaks down the barrier. Griffin again, who's been very impressive today in the absence of Sandilands. In fact, if Fremantle were to go on and win this game, it would be the first for a long time without Aaron Sandilands. A hushed Patterson Stadium as Watson with a driller looking for Hurley, who's looked out of sorts after I think a month layoff, has it been? Ball wide to Lower.
Tough assignment for anybody having a month off to come and play in this sort of heat.
Right on it, Chris.
Kyle Hardingham. Just a little present up ball to Monfries. Been quietish over the last month or so. Heppel. So the Bombers with a bit of foot possession as they chip and try and work their way forward in a very stuttery sort of formation. Kick forward's been marked by Ibbotson. This guy's been fantastic today. Letting possession get on the ground.
Yep. 15 disposals. A lot of those have come from opposition kicks, which is exactly the way you want your key defenders to play.
How many times have we seen, though, the out kick for the Bombers appears to be just kick it long?
Yeah, but it's slow. It's slow as well. Heppel's slow. Then he took the mark, had a chance to reel on his left, went back behind the mark and couldn't find the short initially. And then it's slow. The Dockers get back in numbers.
Right on it.
Mazungu, who has been serviceable today.
Moving on. Play on.
So the Bombers zone up at the moment. Pavlich marks on the wing near the boundary line. Sun in the eyes as it starts to fall in the west.
Moving on. Play on.
Down the line again. That kick was never going to get there to Clancy. There's Johnson. Kicks inside 50 at the back hill, looking dangerous overhead. Lovett Murray worries him out of it in the end. Now Hooker's got to be clean. He wasn't. Did he get one high? Umpire said no. Welsh.
There's a real opportunity there that just slipped through the hands of Hill. The ball was moving sideways through the air. It wasn't a clean drop punt. It was a wobbler.
The Myers kick was not good, given the time he had. Handball back inside, Lower. Casually and with great poise back to Grover. And he'll eventually win himself a free kick, Lower. You can see the interchange action in the back, and Grover just getting up, limping, a little sore. Lower goes backwards to McFarlane, and making room is Duffield. The short-haired Duffield these days. Back to McFarlane, gain about 20 in distance down the ground, and chip wide to Ibbotson. 81% kicking effective this year. Garrick Ibbotson, very, very good by footy is. Cramery with a punch away.
You mentioned about McFarlane. We've seen him a lot, BT. He hasn't been beaten the games that I've seen him this year, which is probably 9 out of the 11.
Yep.
But that full back, or the key defender's position in any All-Australian side this year, is going to be a hell of a big fight on.
There's a lot in contention when you think of the likes of Scarlett in there as well. You can probably drop in a couple of other names.
Sam Fisher.
Jamison, Sam Fisher, Fletcher, Merritt.
See, I was struggling. Hibbert goes long to Cramery. I knew they were there.
They were there.
And in abundance. Kick back into play for the Dockers because Clancy is out wide. And
Gibson's another one who's had plenty of supporters at Hawthorn.
Yep. Got a little bit of a seeing to in the first half yesterday by Pudsey Adley.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he ran off the mark, didn't he? The umpire called play on. Now Griffin's under attack from Zaharakis.
It had to be a free kick to the Dockers there. Once the umpire says play on, it means that you've had your prior opportunity. You then have to dispose of it properly, and he just dropped it.
Cramery, just a touch of the fumbles. Jetta just out the corner of his eye, sees little Collier. Collier can gather near the boundary line. No, he can't.
Here it is. He's had the mark. He elects to play on.
Yep.
And he just lets the ball go. I mean, that umpire, he just has to have the courage of his convictions there and pay the free kick.
Took a good 3 or 4 steps in the walking off the line of the mark, didn't he? So he had plenty of prior opportunity. And now we'll have a boundary throw in. So just 1 goal scored so far in the 7 minutes that we've played here. Beautiful palm down, although getting on the end of it is Grover, and now Hill on his favoured left side, down the line to Bradley.
And this is just a running game here at Subiaco, and I'm not seeing too many Bombers run. Just have a look behind the ball now, Jono. Maybe they knew that this was going to come back, but they are, once they've lost possession, they're not running into defence.
There's Welsh.
If it becomes a fast break game of footy, they could get a nice old touch-up.
Myers had to be perfect to Brown, and he was. Alex Brown, the son of Murray Brown, former Collingwood player, of course. And his uncle is the boss of the Nine Network. Slung in the tackle here by Brown. Will be a free kick going his way. And is that Slattery down? Just in the
It is Slattery.
foreground there as Brown kicks down the line. Over the top. Tempting the mark, and it's been paid to Hill. Goes in there looking for and not finding the Bombers. A lot of them around. Watson went without it, tripped over his own feet. Now Crowley out the back door. Crichton looking for Jetta. Gee, it's scrappy.
That was a good double effort there by who was it? De Boer.
Now the Dockers. Clancy Pearce to Bradley. Crowley, the look away from Kepler, and now lower. Pavlich wants it long and deep. He now presents it, the ball kicker, and the kick missed him, went to Griffin. Off hands, good tackle by Slattery, who recovers.
Good spoil in the end. I thought he may have chopped the arms of Big Griffin, but certainly the Essendon defender got away with that one.
Hill. Jetta. They have looked lifeless coming here today in terms of energy. The Bombers, they haven't got the travel plan down pat, Jono. They have the worst record of any in the competition. Look at the Bombers standing behind the ball there in that vision. No player near them, just...
No defensive chase there, is there? And that was the hallmark of their great success early in the year.
It's just dissipated. Over the top went Johnson to the line, and we'll throw it in again. They need to find some more runners, and they need to refine their form. The Bombers got a number of players playing for the Bendigo Bombers who are playing today at Sandringham, in fact. See, that boundary umpire keeps throwing it to the top of the goal square rather than to the middle of the ground. He might need some redirecting.
Oh, look
around the corner. Griffin has a bit of a ping in him. He's got it. Look at him. He's going to enjoy the work all the way to the bench. He says, I'm your man.
He's still celebrating too.
Well done to Jonathan Griffin. He's had to work hard to get his chance, and it probably took an injury to Sandlands for him to have that chance, but the Dockers have been losing, and I don't think he's been getting any credit for the good work that he's been doing purely as a ruckman, because the midfield carriers haven't been anywhere near at their best. They've fallen away in sympathy. Today they're back, but this bloke has continued his good work, both at ruck clearances and, as you saw, playing up forward.
Oh, getting a rousing ovation, Jonathan Griffin, for that goal. And receiving some congratulations on the back of his good form today in the absence of Aaron Sandlands.
Is that Roger Hayden there?
It was. He was pretty happy.
He was very pleased. He'd be even more pleased if he can get back out in the track.
He played his first game for South Fremantle on the weekend, Jared.
Okay, and the other news, of course, Barlow playing for Peel Thunder in the first yesterday. Got an absolute heap of it, we're told. So here's a near certainty to come back into this Fremantle lineup next week. So we all said second half of the year for the Dockers when they regain the likes of Hayden and Barlow and a couple of others.
Reece Palmer dropped though. Jacko, what was the thinking there?
Well, it's just, I guess, on the back of inconsistent game time and form.
Here's Pavlich.
He's been kicking it 100% today, which is vastly better than last week's, which was 49.
Won't kick it from there, Pav. That was off the instep, but it'll work for him. Guess what? Another ruckman lines up. Clark.
Well, he's played a really interesting role, Zach Clark, today. He started outside the square as a wingman, stayed there for the first 15 to 20 minutes. He's done a bit of game time as a ruckman.
His 10th career game. Zach Clark for yet another goal kicker for Fremantle from directly in front. It's a little right. It hits the timber work. A little bit further up on the post here, and that would have been a goal because at that end of the ground they are wider at the top than they are at the bottom, Jono.
I hadn't taken notice of that, BT. I need to look at the finer details of these things.
Gee, I don't know whether we can have a look at Reece Palmer's sunnies there, but he needs to upgrade those. Here's Lower, goes inside to Duffield.
Been a good pickup, Nick Lower, Jono.
He has been. He can play as a tagger, and then he's also starting to become a little bit more proactive in his play, which is certainly lifting his standings within the competition.
Just 2 goals for the game, the Bombers.
And he's fourth on the tackles for Fremantle, so he's very, very hard at it, boys.
Duffield from beyond 50. There's Lovett Murray on the mark. We're right behind this. It's online. Good-looking ball. Little bit right. And look at them switched on, pointing directions, telling each other what to do. And McVeigh still able to penetrate with the foot. Finds Lovett Murray. Now Myers. Would kick wide.
Well,
taken by Collier.
Good execution here by the Bombers. Got it, worked it through that pretty easily. And I think Mark Harvey will look at that one and be pretty annoyed at it.
Collier takes a bounce, takes them on, took another, gathers on the left, kick not good. Lower should mark, and he does pretty easily in the end. He tries to pinpoint Hill, who had some fancy footwork to go with it, got the give and go back, and that sets up the loping long left foot to Kepra Bradley. Here comes Ballantyne against the big man. Look at that from pure speed. Ballantyne!
I think Myers thought he was... And here comes Ballantyne, like Griffin before. They love celebrating off the ground, BT.
Oh, he's sprinting off, getting the ovation.
I think Myers thought he had the ball won there.
Yeah,
Ballantyne just snuck underneath him and showed a great lot of speed. He's been very good today.
Yeah, wasn't a one-handed bounce that time.
Get excited, Hayden Ballantyne, as he walks the perimeter piping, hoping to suck in some of the vibe from the supporters here.
Sometimes they spend more energy doing that than actually stopping, standing in the goal square and taking a breath for the next minute.
Oh, he's feeling like Superman today. The little man, the poor pie. Zaharakis. Howlett, a whopping 59-point lead to Fremantle.
Gone. I think it's the Bombers that are suffering from the kryptonite right now. This has just been unbelievably poor as an exhibition, trying to come back to re-kick-start your season.
And to me, they look like they're going to give it away even more than they have already, Jared, which is just the signs aren't good at the moment. They've kicked just the 2 goals, one at the 5-minute mark of the second, one at the 19-minute mark of... Sorry, one at the 5-minute mark of the first, one at the 19-minute mark of the second. No goals in this quarter. And we've got 8.5 minutes left.
And 2 players back to form, boys. Garrick Ibbotson, 18 possessions, 6 rebounds from the back 50. And Paul Duffield, 15 possessions, 4 inside 50s. They have been a little bit criticised in the last couple of weeks as far as their work rate. They've certainly returned to form today.
I think the standout's Michael Johnson for me, though, Jacko, because he's such a pivotal role as, as a tall, structural type player.
The other thing I'm looking forward today, a lot of celebrating from the Dockers, which is great to see, but is the bear hug that Jacko might give to the best player on the ground. I saw the Kerr hug to West Coast yesterday, and I'm thinking that Jacko's got another hug brewing here today. Who will it be? We'll find out for BOG. Monfries cops one high.
The little fellow'd be shaping up just at the moment, wouldn't he?
Oh, yes.
Nearly gave him one here on the boundary line when he came down.
Monfries to Paddy, and once again he's caught in the body contest. I don't know whether it's the kicker or the fact that he doesn't present that ends up in that position that he can't present forward. Here's Watson, little kick. Inside as well, she's gobbled up by a desperate De Boer.
What about just sticking Watson in the goal square or 30, 40 metres out of the goal square, playing him as a centre-half forward, as we've seen him do so often at Etihad Stadium. I know this is a much smaller ground, but at the moment, it's really not working for the Bombers with him in the middle.
You're nearly looking 50 to 70, just so that he creates that work rate across the ground.
One thing Paddy is not, and that is not a wrestle player. He's a run and jump and present player. That's what he's got to be. He can't stand there and wrestle.
Might be better off on the half-forward line, if you like, so he's running as third man. Here he jumps.
Here he jumps over the top. An opportunity for Ryder then applies the tackle, so there's some good signs out the back door. Hurley gave it to Lovett Murray, takes them on Lovett Murray, a bounce, and will kick a certain goal. The Bombers get their first goal of the third quarter, the 17-minute mark.
And that's a sort of burst that you'd probably expected to see earlier in the game. It's never too late, but they need to put 2 or 3 or 4 goals back to back, Jono, to give themselves some sort of belief that they can get back into this contest.
Well, that's it. You look at the contest from Ryder, then the tackle from Ryder, the second effort, which then takes out of play the ring of Fremantle players that are around the contest.
The ring of purple.
The ring of purple.
Nathan Lovett Murray gets his first goal. Ryder's got one and Jeddah's got one.
The Bombers got a problem with Zaharakis, Jacko.
Well, he's shaping up down here. He looks ready to come back on. So I think he did have a bit of work in the hip region, but he looks like ready to come back on.
What do the stats look like today, Jerry, for him?
Well, he hasn't got near the ball, to be honest, BT. He's had 8 possessions, but he's had plenty of mates. He's about mid-table for the Bombers. It's just that the champion data boys have got a blue line through his name, which generally suggests that he's in a bit of trouble.
He's back on, boys.
Okie doke. So the blue line has been deactivated.
Hasn't been able to give them that run and link up through the middle, has he?
Well, that's his role, and no one has, and that's why it's been so disappointing. You just start to wonder what we were seeing in the first 2 months of the year.
Well, it shows out in handball. Receives 110 Fremantle, 55 to Essendon.
It was interesting to hear that, I think it was Joe Watson during the week, suggested, not sure how serious he was, that they travelled today for this game to try and overcome this travel issue that they seem to have. But the AFL, of course, wouldn't allow that. You can't travel same day because of possible interruptions, which we're experiencing today.
I think you'd run worse if you travelled today.
Big trip to Perth.
Yeah, you need to get on this ground and have a blowout the day before you play.
Just got to be professional about it and just get the job done. Here's Jeddah. This is what Zaharakis does well. Little chip wide here to Hurley. Tried to get back on the inside of McFarlane. He very nearly pulled it off as well. And now Jeddah who has tried to give them something all day in terms of forward run. Ground level ball, Welsh fighting. Hands by Broughton were superb. The clearance by Grover. To Nate the knife fight.
Such an important play with those balls coming out of defence. Bit too clever there.
The knife is really sharp this year. An all-Australian contender for sure.
Well, that was a horrible kick into the... I mean, they just should punish this, the Bombers.
Here goes Melksham. He'll line it up from 50. Goes long, deep to the square. Here's Paddy, muscling and bustling, and this time he wins the one-on-one duel.
Much better performance all round from the Bombers. We saw them get it in, then they got it back. Well, they didn't get it back. It was given back to them by the Dockers.
But being able to create that turnover, it creates a mismatch up forward. It was Ryder on Ibbotson rather than Grover or McFarlane, who's been his direct matchup for most of the day.
Reminds me in looks of the great Bill Dempsey over here that played for West Perth many years ago. Paddy Ryder. And here he is from directly in front of goal to kick his second of the day, and the Bombers have got consecutive goals for the first time in this game.
Well, as you said, Jared, they were lucky to get that one. We were pumping up Nate Fife, and on the back of that with a fantastic grab, but they messed up with it, messed around with it a bit. He tried to get it onto Hill, who then got it back to him, and the kick was a scrub back into the middle, a dangerous part of the ground to turn it over. And as you called it, Jared, you get punished when you turn the ball over. It doesn't matter how well you're going as a side.
And there's that mismatch. Ibbotson versus Paddy Ryder, and he outbustled him easily then.
And boys, an important 5 minutes for Essendon. If you cast back last week, Fremantle versus Hawthorn, they were about 34 points up at around about this stage, and then coughed it up in the last quarter. So if they can get one or two more here before three-quarter time, could be game on.
Well, they're 47 points adrift, and it's never over, Jacko, in the modern game.
I think the other issue, BT, is that the stadium is now in shadow. And if you are being affected either mentally or physically or both by the heat, then all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit better, no doubt, when the sun goes down.
Absolutely. Here's Mazungu. Kick and hooker will get back now. They've got, although Johnson closing, got a favourable bounce, didn't he? Did he get it around the body? It's bending back. It's a goal. Something out of nothing for Johnson.
Well, when it's a day, it's a day. And Johnson, it certainly has been his today, that's for sure. He's now up to 16 disposals and kicked a couple of goals on the back of high work rate. And I didn't mind his movement. His initial movement was to come at the kicker, which is what he's been able to do all day. Then turn around, got a lucky bounce, of course, and then was able to capitalise. But he came back with some speed, some urgency.
Johnson kicks his second goal for the Fremantle Dockers. Did well, the big man.
And, Jono, you mentioned it was a lucky bounce, but it was his urgency, just his energy to get to that contest. He was about 10 metres deep, and a couple of weeks ago, he would not got to that contest. So it's just having that confidence in your running.
It is indeed. Glenn Jakovic is in the middle. We go again, just as the Bombers were setting up a little mini wave here. Fremantle have even been able to stem that.
Just goes to show how much he's played above the shoulders and just willing yourself to be able to compete.
Not big on this kick.
The backwards ball, and Grover just stumping the ground a little. Tidied up by Lower, and now he can go really wide to McFarlane.
They've been the worst side in the comp this year, BT, giving the ball back deep inside their defensive 50 with the turnovers.
Fremantle have.
Fremantle, yep.
Yeah. Mazungu. Pine says move it down the line. Some starting to set into West. Here's the knife five. Nate. Johnson wants it in the middle. He says it's just a little early to go to the middle of the ground. I'll hug the boundary line. And over the back is Howlett. Takes the mark, runs, penetrating run it was. Kick is wide to Hurley. And just couldn't get there.
Just the one kick, 5 handballs for Michael Hurley. Hasn't had a lot of supply. He's in that full forward post with McFarlane, his direct opponent.
Howlett again advanced it forward. He really has tried to do something about this today, Howlett. He's worked pretty hard. There is Ibbotson, dragged away from the ball. Crowd wanted a free there. Crashing through Hibberd, late replacement for Stanton today. Collier upended, Broughton, Ballantyne caught. That's got to be an incorrect disposal. Umpire deemed he didn't have prior opportunity. Obviously.
Jeff, end zone or mid zone?
Umpires communicating end zone or mid zone, and reference to the positions they want to take. Look at the players around the ball here. 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Griffin doing the ruck work. De Boer, superb. Here's Ballantyne. Not a great kick.
Well, they're the kicks that are hurting them all season. Those ones deep in defence get turned over. The good sides are punishing them.
Ibbotson to Fife, who was so efficient overhead. Clancy missed a golden opportunity up. Watson not able to get there, but enough to stop it going over the line and out of bounds on the full.
That's where Fife just needs to think. The passage of plays before that, his teammates have slowed the game up.
Yep.
Then he takes that one. His teammates are probably expecting him to go back behind the mark and create either a contest down or a short chip kick.
Watson through traffic. Here's Slattery. Goes inside. Paddy's got a good position here. He can run and jump. Magnificent jump over the top. He had space and room to attack it in the air.
Well, it was good contested ball won by Watson, and he got it in the vicinity of Ryder, and he made a pretty average kick turn into a beauty.
Got a good ride then, didn't he?
Paddy. Directly in front for his third goal. Just a little bit of a light flutter. A zephyr from perhaps his left to right. Ryder comes in, kicks the goal. He has got it. So 3 in the quarter for the Bombers. 2 to that man there in this quarter.
Well, they've all been turnovers from kicks outside forward 50. Couple of decisions by Fife to play on quickly hasn't helped them. And Fife is going to the bench just to probably just take part in a normal rotation. But Paddy Ryder all of a sudden getting something to build his confidence around.
Well, he's kicked a couple of goals. He made the contest for the other one that Love and Murray ended up running into an open goal. So certainly starting to get something out of this game.
So the Dockers have just released the handbrake a little, allowing 3 of the last 4 goals to go the way of the Bombers as Fife takes a spell on the Pine. Just on the eve of three-quarter time out of the middle. Watson, who was so damn good at that, and that's a nice out in front Jukish mark by Monfries. Handball to McVeigh running onto his left. Wasn't a great kick to the advantage of the Bomber forwards.
They've kicked 3 goals since that first defensive kick, BT. Does that signal to players, well, time just to pull up on the work rate?
Yeah, you would think so, Gerard, because they certainly have just halted a little in doing the things they were so good at for 2.5 quarters.
It's only a subconscious thing, but it does happen, it would appear, on a regular basis.
Beautiful pick up on his feet there was Hinckley, and as Gerard said, the hands were good to Johnson, and so is the kick to Bradley. Oh boy, Kepler was absorbing some punishment from behind that didn't come. Kepler. Love it, Murray. Monfries. Tell you what we saw in the pre-game here today was a Yarran and a Garlett going around for Western Australia in the under-18 championships, and boy, did they sizzle today. McFarlane.
Don't say that too loudly, Brian.
Well, they're going to get gobbled up, Jacko, because they were clearly the highlights for Western Australia.
I didn't see many scouts, only about 200 of them.
Yeah, they were piled up on top of each other.
Especially Yarran, he was classy.
Yeah. Johnson. 26 seconds left. Wouldn't want to concede here, the Dockers. A 47-point margin. Johnson just thought he's going to kick it down the line. He goes dangerously back inside. Duffield made the kick look better than it was. Now Ballantyne. High ball on the head of Bradley. Punched away. McVeigh has got to go. Fife is going to wear. He went to ground. McVeigh, not sure that he needed to. He could have kept the ball rolling forward. Siren sounds.
Oh, I thought he was going to play a free kick there, the umpire, and he could well have for another throw.
Three-quarter time, and the Fremantle lead by 47 points. What have the Bombers got in the tank? It's shade here at Patterson's. Can they find something in the shade? 13-6-84. The Bombers, 5-7-37.